Hello, my name is Carl Plesner. I am a certified trainer in nonviolent communication and I am a restorative justice mediator working with people in the aftermath of violence. What I do in my work is that I help people to engage in dialogue with the aim of restoring dignity and justice in the aftermath of violence, and I support processes of healing and reconciliation. I work for the police and I work for various organizations and for families, schools, mostly in Denmark, but also in other countries whenever it's possible. I want to talk a little bit about my work, how to intervene in violence when it's happening, and how to make something else happening. It's really weird for me to stand like this and talking to a camera. I don't know you, I have no idea who's watching this video, but at the same time this is something that I really care deeply about and I really want to share it with someone, and I really want to support a change in the world towards more peace and harmony and collaboration than what I'm seeing right now. And my basic motivation for this kind of work is my two daughters. They are 5 and 6 years old. And I want to see them grow up in a world with less violent than the world I grew up in. And this is the basic motivation for the work I do. And that's why I'm standing here. Yes, okay. So here we see the circle of violence. We see the arrows going around. The arrows symbolize acts of violence. We see that if we start with A receives a violent act from B. And the action of B causes harm and pain in A, and A responds with this. A wants to restore justice and dignity, and the way A chooses to restore justice and dignity in this situation is by taking revenge, by acting violently towards B. And then you see the new violence from A to B, and again B receives this actions, and in order for B to restore justice and dignity, B chooses to take revenge back on A, and in this way you can go in circles, and it can get worse and worse and worse, and it really destroys our quality of living in so many ways, in so many senses. So we want to intervene in this, and the best way to do this that I have learned and discovered is nonviolent communication. So let's see how we can do this. Because you see here in the light red box, you see that what is really important for violence to move around in circles like we saw before is that we focus our mindset on judgments, evaluations, always judging what is right, what is wrong, always thinking when someone is acting some way, we evaluate, is it the right action or the wrong action, and if it's the right action, we reward the person, and if it's wrong, even more importantly, we punish the person. And some questions that I dedicated to the red mindset is questions like, who's suffering? Who has to be punished to make it right? How can I get revenge for the pain caused to me? And we could have many other questions like this from this red mindset. And here comes the NVC mindset that intervene in this mental thinking, this violent thinking. Because what NVC is so great at and is working so well at doing is to translate a violent conflict escalating language into a non-violent, compassionate language. So when we go behind all the judgments, he's right, he's wrong, he's a bad person, he's evil, he deserves punishment. When we succeed in moving behind the judgments and the hopes and wishes for revenge and listen to what is going on inside, what is going inside this person that have received so much harm and wants to take revenge. Then we might find out, hey, that person, he did something terrible and I feel so sad about it and I'm so angry and I desperately want to be fully heard and understood for the consequences of what he did, because it was harmful for me. And I really want him to understand the harm it has caused to me. And I find that a much more powerful way to restore dignity and justice is basically to support communication and dialogue between people, so they can listen to each other, so they can understand what consequences did their actions have for the other person, and so they can tell the other person what consequences the other person's actions had to themselves. So when we engage with NVC into this system, we translate the language, and we focus into the green mindset. And the green mindset works like this. We want to be clear about the observations. Instead of talking about he's a bad person, we want to talk about what he did, something we can observe, like he hit that woman right there in front of him. So that would be the observation. And we want to talk about feelings. So instead of I'm evaluating and judging him, I feel he's a bad man, I rather say, when I see this man hitting that woman, I feel pain inside. And I want to connect the feeling to my need. My feelings are indicators of whether or not my needs are being met or not. So when I see a man hitting a woman, I feel pain and sadness inside, because my need for mutual care and for taking care of humanity is not being met by this action. And so the next part of it, the request, what can I do about it? I can go and say to him, I want to support you in finding another way of expressing your pain than violence. Are you willing to explore that with me? I know this sounds a little hippie kind of, but never mind about that. It works. I've been there. I've engaged with people in extreme violence situations. So I know this is working from my own experience. And the mindset, the questions we're asking ourselves in the green mindset is questions like, who's suffering? Same question as before, but now it changes a bit. So what are their needs? This person suffering, what unmet needs are alive in this person right now? We want to attend to that. We don't want to punish to make everything right again, to restore dignity and justice. We want to find ways to restore the needs that has been violated. This is our focus. Again, so the basic questions in this, when we engage in this kind of dialogue, nonviolent dialogue, is that we talk about how are you and how am I. So we understand what life is alive inside you and what life is alive inside me. And based on this mutual understanding, new possibilities will arise and something new can happen. So let's move on to the next one. So how do we make the actual intervention? And we see it here. The arrows are step 1 and 2 is me doing my work, or someone else, a trained mediator or a certified trainer in nonviolent communication, something similar. Many people are doing this work and they are doing a great work. The first step is to connect with each side of the conflict. We want to get in, we want to engage, and we want to connect with them. And I want to show you just in a moment how we can do that. So we connect with A and we connect with B, and when we have connected with them, then we can perhaps, hopefully, we can put them together in a restorative circle where A and B can engage in dialogue, supported with NVC, supported by a person very highly skilled in NVC and restorative mediation. It's very, very important. Otherwise, the conflict can escalate. So the support from outside is crucial important for a non-violent result. And the last step 3, when dialogue happens and the mutual understanding and compassion are arising from this dialogue, then the new future together becomes possible. And that's a new future with no other side. As we had before, we had side A and B. The new future together, we have no other side. It's only us left. Us with our shared humanity. And this is the point how can we connect with each other's shared humanity? Because when we do that, then there is no other side to conflict. Then there are only us. This is the point. Okay, so let's look at the steps individually. So step one, when I engage with just one of the parties in conflicts, I really want to connect with them. I really want to feel their pain inside myself, because when I feel that pain inside myself, then I know I'm connected with them. Then we are connected to our shared humanity, and that's the place we want to act from in order for something else than violence to happen. So some questions that can support this connection to one of the sides, each side of the conflict, is questions like, what has someone said or done that have been painful for you? I really want to listen and to understand. And another question could be, how are you right now in relation to what happened? Really listening, staying with the answer, really wanting to understand, to learn, to share humanity with this person. And the last questions, what good reasons did you have, blah, blah, blah. What good reasons did you have to act the way you did? Because we all had reasons to act the way we did. And I might be the one who had beaten a woman with a big stick. And I did it for some reason. I did it to take care of some needs. And it might be empathy. It might be freedom. It might be choice. It might be equality. It might be safety. There can be so many reasons why I chose to express myself through violence. And the point of it is that when I connect with the reasons, the needs that I'm taking care of and trying to meet by my actions, then it becomes obvious for me that violence is a very, very sad choice in order for me to meet my own needs. And we could talk a lot about that. I'm not going to do that right now. So, but it's all very, very interesting. So I hope we can talk more about it. So we want to motivate the step two. Yeah, okay. So that was a good reasons. Everyone has good reasons to act the way we did, and we want to connect with that and to understand it in a way so I can say, if I have lived the life you have been living, I might choose to act the same way as you have done. I might not do it, but it could be a possible choice for me if I have lived the life you have been living. And that's the depth and the value that I want to investigate with that third question here in step number one. So step number two, we want to move forward from when we have connected with each side, we want to move toward bringing them together in a circle for dialogue. And we can ask some questions that can support and motivate people, each party, to say yes and to choose to step into a circle with the intention of dialogue. And some questions that in my experience motivates people more or less is questions like this. What would you like the other side to know about you and your good reasons to act the way you did? What would you like the other side to know about the consequences of their actions? And the last one, how would it feel like if they really, truly believed you and understood you? How would that feel like? If the other side of this conflict truly could stay with you and listen to you with empathy and compassion, how would that feel like for you? And in my experience, this is questions people, they so much want to be heard and understood by the other side. They so much want to be seen for their good reasons to act the way they did. They really want to, people have a natural urge to meet and to engage with, people have a natural urge to engage with each other and to meet each other with empathy and compassion. And when it's violence instead of compassion, then it's not something we want. It's not a choice that we celebrate. It's a choice from desperation and from sadness and anger. So let's support something else in happening. And step number two, those questions, and to stay and talk and connect with people around those questions, that in my experience, that's highly motivating for people to take the next step and say yes, to move into a circle, into a mediation with the other party. And then we have step number 3. You remember before we had the restorative circle and A and B in dialogue, supported by NVC. And then we have this arrow down to the new future together, the place with no other side. And step number 3 is when people in dialogue develop mutual understanding and empathic connection with one another. At this point, they will by themselves start to talk about a new shared future together. And then my work is done. And when I facilitate circles and mediations like this, I like to test if my work if I have succeeded in my work. And I do this by leaving, and I say out very quiet, I go to the toilet now. And then I leave, and I stand and I listen in the door, having almost closed the door completely, and I just listen. And when I can hear that they are discussing a new future together, what can they do to support each other's humanity and dignity and justice? When I hear this through the almost closed door, then I know my work is done and I can go home and I can relax. I did a good job today to support my 2 girls in growing up in a world with less violence than the one I grew up in. And this is the essence of my work. I hope it makes sense to you. I hope to engage in much more dialogue. I really burn to support dialogue happening in conflicts on all sides and levels. So I hope to hear from you. Thank you very much for listening. Take care.